Hey CFE, I have a few updates for you that I want to share. On Wednesday, after our midweek service, I had an impromptu focus group with a few of you guys who are part of CFE. And I'll just ask them a question about how they see CFEs going, because I've been in prayer about what's the future for CFE for 2026. And I do this every year trying to make sure that we're on track with what God's called us to do. And so I wanted to get some input for some people who have been experiencing CFE for a few months to or several years now. And so a couple of things that came out of that focus group that I'm going to actually implement, I want to kind of share with you today. First thing that came out was ideal about the daily study being a great entry point for new people to the Church for Entrepreneurs. My goal with stopping the daily study and getting you guys to start building your own daily studies was so you kind of could mature into studying the things that God needs you to study versus waiting for me to post a daily study every day. But the focus group pointed out to me that everybody's not matured yet to actually build their own daily studies. And when you get new people into the system, starting to listen to the podcast every day is a great start before they start building their own daily studies. So the ideal that I have to think about two different people inside of CFE, the newer people coming in now and the people who've been here for a while, was a new thought for me. It should be obvious, but it was a new thought for me. That's why I had a focus group to kind of help me see what I'm not seeing. So with that said, what I've decided to do was to start reposting the daily study in the podcast every single day, with the ideal that that's going to be like a front door for people who are just get into CFE. I still want everybody to create their own Bible studies, but we're going to have the daily study 7 days a week in the podcast free for those who are just getting started. So when you invite people to CFE, let them know about the podcast, point them to the daily study, and let that be their entry point to start growing their faith and learning the things of God. Because the daily study podcast is like 10 minutes long. They're good boosts of faith and word in the morning, whereas like coming to the Sunday service or on Wednesday, that's like an hour, 90 minutes. So starting with 10 minutes, probably a really great starting point. Now, these daily studies are not new content that I'm creating every day. These daily studies is coming from our library of almost 400 different messages. So we're pulling from the library and I'm posting those to the podcast feed on a daily basis. And every now and then I will be adding new stuff to it as the Lord leads. So the daily study podcast is coming back online and actually it's live right now. So if you go to the podcast feed, you'll see the daily study for the day. And we'll be just doing this until we stop doing it, because this is a good entry point as the focus group pointed out. Another thing that came out of that focus group was this idea of flexibility. So Church for Entrepreneurs, we're here to serve believers who have entrepreneurial callings in various different kinds of entrepreneurship, from ministry, business, nonprofit spaces. But most importantly, we're here to serve entrepreneurs who live across the world. So we are a global church for believers with diverse entrepreneurship callings. And with that key thought on location diversity, right? So what's good for one person in one time zone is terrible for a person in another time zone. So what it means is that Church for Entrepreneurs, its appeal and its benefit is that it's flexible. So with that said, one of the things I have to break out of is this mindset that everything is fixed on a schedule. Like there's a midweek service on Wednesdays at a certain time. There's an open forum on a certain time. There's a Sunday service on a certain time every Sunday, and you can't change those times. And so because we are innovating church, also have to innovate on how we think about the days of the week we do things. So with that said, I'm going to introduce some flexibility in the scheduling of when we have our live Bible discussions. So instead of it always being on Sunday, always being on Wednesday, I'm going to introduce some flexibility so we can serve people in various time zones. But don't worry, I'm not going to make abrupt changes. I'll let you guys know in advance when things are switching up. So for example, right now we're doing a Revelation series on Sunday. More than likely, we'll probably complete that out on Sundays for the next few months. And when that series has concluded, we'll start something new on a different day of the week. That's probably won't be Sunday at 9 o'clock. It'll be at another time. Also on our midweek at 9 p.m. on Wednesday, I'll probably do a few more weeks of that. And then I'll probably stop that. And then I'll switch it to another time. Or maybe I'll add in a different open forum at a different time. Because right now we have open forum just at 10 o'clock on Wednesday. And for some people, they're at work, they're doing other things, or it's too early in the morning, depending on what time zone you're in. The key here is Church for Entrepreneurs, we have to be really, really flexible about when we have our live events. We can't always keep it at the exact same time every single week, week in, week out. So which means that I know a lot of us are used to having things fixed in our schedule, but as entrepreneurs and as members of Church for Entrepreneurs, we're going to have to learn how to be flexible with how we do our live events. But like I said, I'll let you guys know in advance when things are shifting and when things are changing. So that way people can start adjusting their schedule and planning around the different times. times. So keep in mind, now when I do shift times around, for some people, it's going to be a bad time. But for other people, it's going to be a great time. But that's kind of how it's going to be for a while until we can get to the point where we can do multiple live events. But for now, we're kind of limited to just doing things one at a time. So I want you guys to be aware of that, but I'll let you guys know in the coming days and weeks when we're going to switch up different times around things. So that's the update I wanted to share about the daily study and just about us being flexible. And actually bringing back the daily study is me being flexible to understand that we got different kinds of members and everybody is not going to come live on a Sunday or a Wednesday. And everybody's not going to do their own Bible study schedule. So I have to be flexible to accommodate members at different locations and members at different stages of their spiritual growth. So the real key about this update is that CFE is about to be way more flexible so we can serve the people that God has sent to us. Thank you guys for being a part of CFE. And another part of that flexibility is, as you guys know, we have a flexible membership system here. For some people, CFE is their church home. And for other people, CFE is a ministry that complements their local church. So we're very flexible in how we define what membership is. So really the key to CFE is flexible. That's how we're going to really truly serve the people that God's called us to serve, is being flexible. So if you want to partner with CFE and partner with this mission, go to churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner. That's churchforentrepreneurs.com/partner. You guys be blessed, and I'll talk to you soon.